Hi everybody, it's Kevin at Bear Creek, coming back to you again. Today is Sunday, December 8th, 2019. Last nice day around here for a while. I think it got up to around 39 degrees at some point today. And then it's going to start dropping down really fast. But one of the things that I wanted to talk today is about supplementary feeding or emergency feeding your bees in the wintertime. Last winter, if you remember, I had made up some candy boards, but I hadn't set them out yet. I made them up in December, and I hadn't set them out. And then January 1st, I started checking my hives, and I found a lot of dead hives that had completely gone through their stores, and they starved. So that's something that you might want to consider, especially if you are not 100% sure that you got your hives up to weight. And this year, because of my other beekeeping job, I didn't get as much food on them as I wanted to. I was working till dark, and I just couldn't get out and put feed on them. So I ended up only being able to put feed on them on weekends, and they were using it almost as fast as I could put it on. So I'm a little concerned about it. So I don't want that to happen this year. I was talking to my beekeeping group last night, my beekeeping chat group, a video chat. If you're an Upper Midwest beekeeper, by the way, and you want to chat with other Upper Midwest beekeepers, mostly about raising bees in the Upper Midwest in the colder climates, I invite you to send me an email, and you can join. We usually just chat about once a month, video chat, and we end up chatting for a couple hours. But anyways, we were talking last night, and a few of the guys are this year already went ahead and set up mountain camp style feed, supplemental feed on their hives. You don't call it emergency feed, this early supplemental feed, because your bees haven't quite run out of food yet, but you don't ever want them to get there. So sometimes it's a really good idea. And mountain camp, actually, the method is probably the simplest way to go about and getting emergency feed on you can do candy boards, but that takes a lot of effort. You gotta boil it on the stove and pour it in forms and everything. And mountain camp is pretty much just putting a shim down, putting some paper down, and pouring some granulated sugar. Now the shims that you have that you can use, I've got some nukes here, and I got some shims here that I actually used for candy boards last year, but this year I'm going to be using them as my mountain camp shims. In previous years before that, this 4x4 cloth served actually to pack sugar in there, damp sugar, and it would harden, and then I could just set it down on top of the hive. I could make it in the house, let it set rock hard, and then come and set it down. I didn't really like that method because the 4x4 hardware cloth ended up sagging, and then when you set it on the hive, it allowed for gaps, because maybe you had a little bit of burr comb on there and it wasn't quite even, or this sagged, and it just anyways, let's just put it this way, I didn't like it. So this year what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the same shim. It's just a 2-inch shim, and a lot of people, when they make their shims, they make them out of what they have laying around, spare. If you're into making your own boxes, you use the scrap from what you cut out of maybe a 2x12, or a 1x12. I actually bought this, but this is just a 2-inch shim, and I went and bought some more today and made up some shims for my larger hives, and I just went and bought 1.5 inches. Obviously, the taller the shim, the more sugar you can put on. But something like this for a nuke, I can actually put 5 pounds of sugar in here. Not that I probably will, but I can. So I can fit quite a bit of sugar on top of there, and that'll be enough to get them, should be, you know, if they're into it, so that you can come and check it in late March or something like that, and to see how they're doing. But for a small nucleus colony, this should be plenty. What you really want to do is do this as quick as possible. So having everything ready for you before you start is kind of a key to this, because you do not want to expose your bees to the cold any longer than you have to, because you know, you just don't want them to lose that core heat in the colony. So having everything ready is sort of paramount. Also, just because it's winter now doesn't mean the bees won't start flying around and be a little pissed off. So, you know, wearing a head veil at least is not a bad idea. And it also will give you a quick opportunity to just assess the condition of your colony. Now, a couple more things that you'll need are newspaper or some form of paper, and a spray bottle with water. Now, I didn't have a hand spray bottle. I had the I had this. It's a spray bottle for spraying chemicals or whatever, but I've always only used this for water. So this is what I'm using. And then, so I don't subscribe to any newspapers, so newspapers are kind of a hard commodity for me to come by around here. But I get a lot of Amazon shipments for my you know, packages, and turns out that their packing material is some recycled brown paper. It's not thick, it's not thin, but it's roughly 14.5 inches wide, which will fit a Langstroth inside, and then you just cut it to length. So so I just use that, and I mean, I've got enough to do all my hives here, so that's pretty nice. All I need to do is just kind of eyeball this and cut it, and then slide that in my pouch, and then I'll have this ready for this nuke right here. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to pull this off, the lid off. I'm going to set this newspaper on top. I'm actually going to pull the lid, the insulation, and then I have that Reflectix. I'm going to set this right on top of the frames, and then I'm going to spritz this newspaper with a little bit of water. Not a ton, just a little bit of water. And then I'm going to set my shim down, my feeding shim, on top of that, and then we'll pour our sugar on top of this paper. Now, because it's wet, I will be able to form a kind of like a hard shell on the sugar, so that it'll harden very, very quickly before the bees have a chance to chew through the paper and get to the sugar. And then after I pour the sugar down, I'll spritz a little bit of water on top, again, just to get a little bit of a shell there. And a secondary action of these feeder shims is that with the sugar, is that the sugar will actually absorb water in the colony, and it'll harden the entire amount of sugar, even though it's in granulated form, into essentially a big block of sugar. And the bees will just be able to access it without it having it falling between the frames. So, well, let's kind of get started here before the sun starts setting. Well, this is a right here. This is a 5-frame colony that I got. I'm not really sure whether it's going to survive the winter. I only left it in 5 frames, and truthfully, I don't even know if there's any bees left in it right now, but we're going to find out right now. So hopefully you can see this as I'm doing it. Now these are very much alive, which is good. There's a nice cluster and they're all just kind of like right here. So I'm just going to quickly put this paper down. The good news is they're not on top. I'm going to put the feeder shim on top. And one of the things I wanted to show you is that the feeder shim also has a vent hole, so that the bees can come up actually and use this as a winter escape or to vent the top. Okay. And we're going to take our spray bottle, and I'm just going to spray a little bit of water in there. I'm going to take my sugar, and I'm going to pour that on top of the frames right there. I'm going to try not to get all right. So I got about half the bag in there. It's about 5 pounds of sugar. And then I'm going to take my spray bottle and I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit of water on top here. And what that'll do is that'll become really, really hard, and then the sugar won't fall through. I'll put the Reflectix back on there. And the lid with the insulation will go on top of that. And the brick will go on top of that. Okay, and that is pretty much all there is to it. I probably should have shown you the little cluster. It's actually sort of right here. You know, it's a smaller nuke. It was a weaker nuke, but there looked to be plenty of bees to get it through winter in that colony. So giving them that extra feed should help them make it through winter if disease doesn't take them out first. So anyways, if you got any questions or comments, you can leave them below. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up, and I hope you subscribe. And special shout out thanks to the guys from the Upper Midwest Beekeeping video chat group for the suggestion for doing this mountaintop method. My first time doing it, and as you can see, there's really nothing to it. Building the shims is probably pretty much the hard part. Figuring out how to store them for the summer is the only thing that is the only problem I have with it, because my storage space is limited. So what I'm going to do is take the shim out. I'm going to put it underneath these hives and use it as a stand. Get it off the ground a little further, so it'll double use in the summertime as a stand lift, I guess you could say. So till next time, happy beekeeping, everyone. So I got a little bonus footage here of a full size ling straw. I got these two side by side. One's a single, one's a story and a half. Now I'm going to put the supplemental feed on the single and not the story and a half hive, because story and a half hive obviously has a super with a good amount of honey on it, and if they go through a single and a super full of honey in a winter, well, I'm not sure that that's a hive worth keeping. So they should have plenty over there is all I'm saying. But I thought you might want to see
Little bonus footage here with the full-size Langstroth. Okay. Woo! Okay. These guys are really up there. You can see the cluster there, and they're like I said, they're up there. We've got, actually, that's good honey there. We've got plenty of honey on there, but you know, I'm still going to give them their damn it. Come on, guys. All these guys are fanning. That's kind of funny. You don't want to leave this lid. Okay. And I would smoke them down, but I don't have any smoke with me. And they will go down once the sugar starts going on. And this newspaper does not have to cover the entire thing, but as much of it as you can. Okay, and here's a full-size shim on top, and it has the vent hole right here. Now this one does not have the hardware cloth, so no big deal. Oop. Okay. I had a busted bag of sugar. Anyways. Alright. I didn't have to put all 10 pounds on here, but you know, each frame of your hive carries 9.5 pounds, or 9 pounds of honey. 8.5, 9 pounds, somewhere around there. So putting 10 pounds of sugar on there is kind of equivalent to putting an extra frame in there. This is pure sugar, obviously, and no water in there. Okay. I'm just trying to get it a little damp there, that's all. Okay. Now I'm going to put this inner cover on. Here we go. And a lid. And that's it.